You said you wouldn't support the bill at the second reading. You've been really clear about that. You've described it as divisive.
Yep.
Did you anticipate this level of response to the bill?
Yes, because frustration.
I call bullshit. Sorry, I call bullshit. Because if you knew this was going to happen, you never would have done it. I call bullshit.
It is divisive.
Yep.
Did you anticipate this level of response to the bill?
Yes, because frustration has been building for a number of years
So
around this issue.
you
on all
knew
sides of
that we
debate.
were going to get this level of response?
There is a massive frustration in the country around this issue.
Caused by you and David Seymour.
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware of
Brought
that?
it to the table.
Are you
Brought it to
aware
the
where the
table.
frustrations come from? Are you aware?
On all sides of that debate, and a legitimate
I
frustration.
just want to say it again. There's not all sides. You and Seymour say this. There's not 14 different professional opinions based around this treaty principles bill. There's two, both sides. Don't try and make it sound like, oh, we all got our various opinions. No, there's two. There's two sides to this debate.
So you consciously made a decision to support a bill through the first reading that has contributed.
If you haven't seen this, I'm just thinking what Jack's thinking right now. Jack's going to drop the elbow off the top rope, and he knows he's going to. And I would just love to think what is going through his head right now. Is it like, how are we going to get there? What are we going to do? Is it going to come naturally? Because when it comes, honestly, that's the moment where I went, what the, out loud when I heard Luxon say what he's going to say in part of these 6 minutes.
Contributed to worsening Crown Māori relations in New Zealand?
No, let's that's an important topic.
Yes,
So
you
let's back up.
Can you just answer that question and then you can give us some context?
Well, what I'd say to you is that I know that this is a very divisive issue. I know that there's strong feeling and frustration on all sides of that debate.
Both
no
sides.
doubt about it.
Both sides.
That has been building for a number of years. What do you do with that frustration?
You haven't answered the question. The question is, what kind of leader makes a decision to support a bill knowing that it will contribute to worsening relations with New Zealand's Indigenous people?
What I'd say to you, Jack, is it's a leader who actually formed a government because the New Zealand people delivered an outcome through an MMP system, and we have to do compromise. And you may not like it, and I'm sure David Seymour doesn't like it because he wanted a full national referendum.
I'm not sure
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it because I don't like the bill at all. I don't think it's
Remember, we've said this before. This is this great guru of business who is the only person I've ever heard broadcast a lose-lose compromise. Nobody likes this. They lose, they lose, they lose. I've never heard that in business before, that the result we're going to aim for is a lose-lose.
right way to deal with race relations in this country. We came to a compromise. That is quite normal in coalition governments and MMP environments, and that will continue to be normal going forward.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. I didn't get what I wanted. David Seymour didn't get what he wanted. We came to a compromise. That's the reality of it, and I've been very straight up about that. But we're not supporting it at second reading.
No, we understand you're not supporting it.
Right?
You made that really clear. So, I mean, first of all, I'm not sure that David Seymour didn't get what he wanted out of all of this.
He wanted a full national referendum.
Well, that's what he says. And this is the thing, right? This is what he says. But this is welcome to politics, Prime Minister. And the reason this is important is because it says so much about your negotiation skills, but also your character as a leader. You consciously agreed to a policy which you knew would worsen relations with Crown and iwi in New Zealand. So my question is this. As part of the coalition negotiations, did ACT make the treaty principles an absolute explicit bottom line?
It was a very difficult negotiation. It was the thing that took the longest.
Starts the question. Starts the question.
So I'm saying this for the 1% of people watching who don't know. A bottom line means that Seymour would say, if you don't do this, we are not going to go into coalition. So was it that, Mr. Luxon?
Resolve. There are strong feelings on all sides of that debate.
I understand. So
that's built up.
They haven't
on both
answered the
sides.
question there. Can you
and
just answer that question?
Well, I just said to you, we came to a compromise. We found a way through.
So my question was, did ACT make it an absolute explicit bottom line for forming a government?
Well, I'm not talking about our negotiations that happened between two parties.
ACT has. I called David Seymour this week.
That's fine. But the point.
Oh my God!
Have you seen this, Chewie?
That came off the top rope with a steel fucking chair.
Do you know what he's going to say?
No.
Have you seen this?
I went
Okay.
into this blind because I knew we were going to do it.
This is my
my God!
So Jack Tame knows the answer to that question. He's asking the Prime Minister, was it a bottom line? Were you in a situation where Seymour said, if you don't do this, we are not forming a government with you? All right. I didn't realise you hadn't seen it, Chewie. I'll sit back. You listen to what he says.
point is...
What do you think he said?
I'm not. The point for me is that we actually came to a compromise, and that's what you expect in an MMP government and a coalition government.
So I called David Seymour. Do you want to know what he said?
Well, I've been in negotiations with David about that issue. We disagree strongly on it.
Okay, no, I know you disagree.
Yeah.
But it's the deal that you, as a seasoned negotiator, reached. So I asked David Seymour. He confirmed that ACT didn't explicitly play the bottom line card. He said that as part of the negotiations over the Treaty Principles Bill, ACT never threatened to blow things up and go back to the polls.
Look.
What the fuck?
You wet ham sandwich.
Like, so you either got played, Seymour, to take on something that was never threatened to blow up the negotiations, or, I was saying this on Twitter and someone said it back to me, of course, what I thought, or, this is the thing, or Luxon wants it. They're your only two possibilities. They're your only two possibilities. Luxon got played and dog walked, as Chewie keeps saying, by someone who sounds like they were going, we never made it a bottom line, but we wanted it. Or Luxon wanted it. Only two possibilities.
Like, let's game this out, right? So let's say they did put it on the table. This is an absolute red line. If we don't do this, we're going to sit on the crossbenches. Where are ACT going to go?
Yeah.
Are they going to go and talk to Labour and form a government? Are they going to make it hard? They have nowhere to go. This is the whole thing with this negotiating thing. When you're that far to the right of the major party, do you want to be part of the government and get something done, or fucking not? Because those are the choices. Like, we can dicker about this, but Luxon was concerned about how long it was taking. He wanted to see that he could form a government quickly because he's a good deal maker. He didn't consider any of this. That wasn't his focus. He wanted to be Prime Minister. He wanted to make sure that he wasn't seen as letting Winston drag it out like Winston always does. So he didn't consider all of this. And then now you've got your coalition partner picking up the phone to Jack Tame and going, oh, yeah, no, it wasn't a big deal, but we got it anyway.
That's the next question,
Holy
though, Chewie.
shit.
But that's the next question. Why on earth would David Seymour tell Jack Tame that? Think about this. Last week,
Because he's a
Seymour,
slimy little rat man.
but why? Well, Seymour last week was making sure everyone knew that there was more ACT policies going through than not. Winston last week was saying that Luxon is struggling, quote unquote struggling, which means is not qualified to do the job. This week, Seymour is telling a journalist, no, wasn't a bottom line for that. He must know that when Jack Tame was going to use it in this interview, it would not be good for Luxon. So why did he do it? What game is he playing? And just imagine, because this is getting towards the end of the interview, Luxon coming off the set, walking into the green room with his advisors. Honestly, that
seemed drywall.
Yep. Let's listen to it again because it's kind of beautiful, and then we'll get to the end of this clip.
So
Explicitly play the bottom line card. He said that as part of the negotiations over the Treaty Principles Bill, ACT never threatened to blow things up and go back to the polls.
Look, it was a major issue for ACT and for the National Party.
Is he being honest there?
Well, Dave, I'm just not getting into it with you, Jack. I'm not discussing conversations I have with other party leaders in a negotiation.
Even though the other party leaders are discussing those conversations with Jack Tame.
We got to a position, as I've been very upfront about, with a compromise. No one's happy about it.
But
got it. Now the question is, what do you want to do about it?
If ACT wasn't playing the bottom line card, if they weren't threatening to blow it all up and go back to the polls, you didn't have to agree to this.
I disagree. This is a strong position from the ACT Party. But
it wasn't a bottom line. It wasn't a bottom line.
It was part of our compromise that we came to. So that's where we got to.
I understand it was
now
a compromise.
The question is, what do you want to do about it? And the reality is, it has caused frustration, right? And I don't think a simplistic treaty principles bill that rewrites 184 years worth of history is the way you solve that. I do believe that you take it issue by issue. There are legitimate frustrations. Look at what we've done. We disagree with the Māori Health Authority.
Yeah, look at what you've done.
Wow.
Look at what you've done.
Authority. It wasn't working. It didn't deliver outcomes. There was massive bureaucracy. We didn't agree with co-governance of Three Waters. We've disbanded that. We didn't agree with actually Wellington mandated local Māori awards. We opposed it in opposition, and we've actually pushed that back to local communities. That's how you deal with the issues, by issue, case by case.
Yeah, so I'm interested in why you made the deal, right? So you, as an apparently skilled and experienced negotiator, you were prepared to support maybe the most contentious policy in recent New Zealand history, although it wasn't an explicit bottom line. And you yourself say it's divisive.
It wasn't. I didn't support the proposal,
The question is, Prime Minister, why you folded on something so contentious when you didn't have to?
We didn't fold. We compromised, and we found a way through for both parties.
If you didn't push him to an absolute bottom line, that means you folded.
Yeah, I would just say to you, Jack, you weren't there. I understand what we did in the negotiations. I'm proud of the negotiations and the way we went about it.
CEO talk. I'm proud. Everything was perfect. It was the perfect phone call, but it's a CEO talk. No, we did well. Everybody won. Yes, that little company's just taken over our big company, but everyone won in the end when you actually got your nose firmly stuck up the arsehole of the other CEO of the smaller company. CEO talk. Chewie, sorry, you're going to say something?
Yeah, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that you're proud of the negotiations and you did a good job, and then you're not proud of the fucking outcome.
Yep.
And the outcome is something you have acknowledged as being divisive and harmful for New Zealand society in a way we haven't seen for decades.
Yep.
You can't say that you did a good job and that's the result that you got.
Yep. All right.
You own this.
Yep.
You own what you've done. You should be crucified for this.
60 seconds.
I understand what we did in the negotiations. I'm proud of the negotiations and the way we went about it. If you think about it, a lot of sceptics and a lot of media commentators and pundits would be saying this doesn't look very stable with three leaders coming together a year
And they were proven correct.
ago. It's proved to be a very coherent and stable government.
Yeah, except that you've just said that Crown-Iwi relations are worse than when you took over.
Sure.
We've had the largest protest in New Zealand history.
Well, I just also say to you, though, but that they built on both sides of that debate in the under previous Labor administration. We now have...
Well,
Blame Labor. Got it out there. You got it out there, team. Woohoo! We should have like a little buzzer when he says blame Labor.
Have you an opportunity to tell us what you've done to improve things?
I just want to make sure you understand our position.
I understand. I think everyone understands your position.
No, you don't, because I think the outcomes...
Do you regret agreeing to it?
No, it's the reality of MMP environment, and you have to be pragmatic and you have to have compromises. Otherwise, governments don't get formed. And that is the same if you think about a Labour, Te Pāti Māori, Greens coalition. Are you seriously going to have a separate parliament, a separate education system, separate justice system?
Boogeyman, blame the left for everything now. Be scared of the left.
Well, one might expect that if the largest party was to find itself in those negotiations, that at the very least they would push their coalition partners right to a bottom line.
And what was great is that we in those coalition...
What was great? This is great.
Agreements. Didn't push them to a bottom line?
No, but we got massive alignment on the things that all three parties were aligned around. The economy, law and order, public services.
Chewie, I deliver you a gift. We've got one more clip we're going to watch, but you can have a go.
This man got absolutely fucking bodied. Like, I mean, a little bit of hyperbole of Jack Tame off the top rope with the steel chair, but he just kept on hitting him with the steel chair. I am so glad to see him pinned to the wall. You cannot say that this was a good negotiation when I have talked to the other party and they said it wasn't a big deal. And you're sitting there going, oh, it was such a tough negotiation, but we got there in the end. And then you want to say it was such a good negotiation, but it's somehow MMP and Labour's fault that Māori are unhappy. And then, as you said, having to drag out the boogeyman that somehow Labour is going to have to agree to Te Pāti Māori setting up a separate parliament, which is just pie in the sky stuff.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like, if you have, like, where was Act going to go? Hey, Luxon, we want a full referendum. No, you can't have a full referendum. That's crazy. Okay, we want to do a bill. We want to do a bill, and you have to support it. Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, okay. Well, we're prepared for ice cream lunches on Thursdays. You just say no. You just say no. Or you go, David, that's fucking crazy. We'll have riots in the streets. Pick something sensible. I want the New Zealand flag changed to the same colour as my tie. Okay, that's something that we'll get more support for.
Like, get behind a pink one. Yep.
Get behind a pink New Zealand flag. That's fine. Like, you just say no, and then you move on to something else. There is something else that you want, David. I am not giving you that. Bottom line, we'll sit here for a week. I'm not budging because this is going to ruin my legacy and it's going to ruin my chance of getting a knighthood, which is the whole reason I'm here. Stop fucking me around, David.